My name is Salimisa Ikaya, which in itself says a lot about what is expected of me. So that's kind of like a trail or like a blueprint as to who I'm meant to be. But who I am is I am a very ambitious young girl. I'm a Kingswood scholar. I'm in grade 12. I'm not an only child. Yeah, so that's about the basics of who I am.
Do you mind telling me how coming from PE to Grahamstown was for you? Like, I mean, PE, Grahamstown, huge difference.
Well, firstly, I came here when I was a lot younger. I think I was around in grade 7 when I came, and we had been visiting Grahamstown quite a few times because my grandparents stay here. So it wasn't so much of a culture shock because somehow grew up here in a way, but the transition wasn't too bad. I was a child, so I wasn't as socially awkward as I am now, so making friends wasn't a task. So I would just go up and speak to anyone randomly, so it wasn't that hard. But it definitely is different to PE because Grahamstown is small, so I had limited places to go. There were movies back then, but then there are not any movies now. So yeah, it wasn't that hard, it wasn't that difficult.
So, you say that you're not the only child. Tell me about the siblings that you have.
I have a lot of siblings from my dad's side. I have quite a number of siblings from my dad's side. My dad has about 12 kids altogether. But from my mom, it's just me and my brother. My older brother, who's 21 this year. Well, a huge part of who I am is the fact that I'm an emotional investor. So I really, really do believe in emotional investment. It's a huge part of who I am and how I conduct myself. I believe you have to put something in there, whether it be in friendships, in my schoolwork, in everything, my family relationships, and everything. I believe in emotional investment because I feel like that's the most authentic way that I show. That's my love language, if you can say. That's how I show my love. That's how I show authenticity. I'm emotionally invested in everything that I do. So that does spark a lot of the ambition because I'm just like, I'm so driven, and firstly, I never ever involve myself in things that don't align with who I am, because obviously that passion won't be there. So I make sure that everything I take part in and everything that I do, friendships, relationships, family, anything, I make sure that it's what I want, so that they can be that passion, that emotional investment. So yeah, I'm an emotional investor.
You say that you're doing grade 12. Take me through the first time. Okay, take me through your years of being at Kingswood and how grade 12 has been to you.
Wow, my Kingswood story is a very, very, it's like it's like a mosaic. There's so many things that contribute to making the bigger picture, which is where we are now. Obviously, the final year of me being at Kingswood. I came to Kingswood in grade 8. I had come here on a scholarship given to me by Transnet. I had come from a school that was very much not like Kingswood, and it was, when I came here, I'm talking about absolute culture shock. I had never experienced anything like this. So it was my first time. I was dappling around the concept of being at a private school with all these kids that came from backgrounds that I couldn't even imagine. So when I first got to Kingswood, it definitely didn't feel like it was the place for me. I felt, grade 8, I wanted to go. I wanted to go home. I didn't want to be here. But then as soon as, I started opening up to the idea, because I thought to myself, I know I can make this work. I know I can make this work. And speaking to my family, speaking to my mom, and speaking to my dad, who's my greatest motivation and my encourager, he said, I just want you to give it a chance. So I started opening up to the idea of being at the school. I started taking part in all these things. And my dad used to always say, try doing things with names that you don't understand. So I heard of interact and I was like, what does interact mean? Isn't interact like interacting with people? Then what do you do there? So I became a part of interact, and grade 10 I was chosen to be in the comm. So so it was part of those things, like stepping into unknown waters and just giving it a chance, opening your mind to it and realizing that this place is actually what you make it to be for yourself. So grade 8 had a hard time. Grade 9 started to come out a bit. Grade 10 I was walking on sunshine. Kingswood was my playground. I absolutely loved it. Boarding felt like a sleepover every single day. So I was just having an amazing time. Come a trick and I'm just like, wow, it's over. What am I gonna do? Because this is what I know. This is what I'm used to. So and my mother, we had a very tricky relationship with my mom because I'm so close to my dad. When my mom decided to make the decision to move out of the house, I was very angry at that decision because I was like, we could have stayed, we could have worked things out, but you chose to take me away from the one person that I loved. But my mother's been the one person that after giving her a chance, she's really proven to me that everything that she has done, every single decision that she has made in her life has been in our best interest. So she's sort of the bad cop, good cop. She makes the difficult decisions. She becomes the bad guy sometimes, but she knows that as we grow up, we will gain an understanding as to why certain things happen the way that they happen. So yeah. Who's my grandmother, who stays here in Grahamstown. So we were in Grahamstown for quite some time, and we obviously needed to find school. So I went to a local school called Ndaba Maria. Mm-hmm. I went to a school called Ndaba Maria, and that's where they noticed my brilliant academic abilities, and they offered me a scholarship. And at first I didn't tell my mom about it. They just randomly came into class one day. I remember very clearly. They said, we're looking for kids to come and write something, some standardized test. So we went into a room and we were given English and maths papers, and we wrote. We got our results back, and they said these people must go to the office, to the admin. Went to the admin and they said, get your parents to sign these, right? And at the time my mom was very absent-minded, so she was going through a lot of stress, obviously because of obvious reasons, the divorce. So I got home and I was like, Mom, just sign here. She was like, what is this? I was like, just sign. She signs it, I take it, and I take it back to school, and I was like, it's signed, here you go. And my mom all of a sudden remembers. Time goes by and they say, okay. They come to school back to us and they say, Transcend wants to give you a 9-year scholarship, 5 years in high school and 4 years in university for a degree of your choice. In grade 7, I didn't understand what that meant, but I was just like, I want something. This is cool. So I take it back home and my mom was like, what have you been up to? So that was kind of the leading moments of coming to Kingswood. But my mom was she was very pleased. That's the only time that I think she was pleased to have a mischievous daughter. So yeah, came to Kingswood and was amazing.
What has it been like for you being at Kingswood from grade 8 to grade 12, right? Mm-hmm. Please tell me about that.
Culture shock is the first word that I could use to describe it, because I'd never been in an environment like this, in such an organized environment. There was a time for everything. There was a time for homework, time for shower, time for sport, time for meals, time for homework. So everything was sort of organized. You needed to be at a certain place at a certain time. Punctuality was important. So I was just being bombarded by all these things that I'd never experienced before. So it was definitely a culture shock, but it's been a character building experience, because the things that I've mentioned have taught me to have balance in my life. There's a time for everything. Punctuality is important. When you say you're going to be there at this time, be there at this time. When you're expected to be at a certain place at a certain time, be there at that time. You are held accountable for everything that you enroll yourself in, or responsibilities that you decide to take on. So it's built a lot of the character that I have right now. I'm very grit, ambitious. Let's do this. Let's get going. Time. Are we there? How are we going to get there? Planning, organizing. So it's been character building. It's been a character building culture shock. Yeah.
So tell me about the support that you've been getting so far.
Well, externally, just to start externally, I got a lot of support from my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my brother. I've always been an overachiever, so this was one of those moments where my parents were like, "I know, you've outdone yourself." So I got a lot of support, and I think they also knew that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. To me, this was sort of just one of those things, like, you know, I get good marks, I go to a good school, you know, and my parents were like, she doesn't know. So I got a lot of support from them because they knew how much of a difference it was gonna be, because they had obviously had a lot of exposure to education differences. They knew the quality of education that you got at Kingswood and the quality education that you got from any other public school in Grahamstown or the schools that they've been to. So they were already there to like say, whatever goes down, we're here. If she feels like she wants to give up, we're here. If she feels overwhelmed, we're here, because they knew what I was getting into. But when I had come into Kingswood, the amount of emotional support that they offered, the amount of platforms, they said, if you need anything or if you feel like it is getting too much, come speak to us. And I did that, and I definitely did not feel like I was speaking in vain. So everything that I struggled with, everything that I didn't understand, there was always someone there. I had a matric. I'd never had a matric in my life. I didn't know what the whole concept of having a matric was. But then I had a good matric, fortunately, and she showed me what it means to be someone's matric, to be a mentor, to help somebody express individuality and not make your junior feel like they have to conform to the ways of Kingswood, but then express who they are and bring out more of who they are and make them feel like that's acceptable. So my matric was very good at that. I had a mentor group, I had my house person, I had my friends. I had a lot of support in grade 8 when I first got there, and I still do now. I still have all those things now. I'm still in touch with my matric. She's doing well. So it's sort of relationships, man. They just did that.
So are you anybody's mentor? Have you been mentoring any students who might have gone through the same transition as you?
I have. I feel like naturally I'm like attracted to situations where I can, you know, mentor somebody. I have a grade 8, obviously, because I'm in matric. We all have our grade 8s. She's amazing. I have 2 children from Libone, Ukailo Sizo, who we've taken under our care as Interact. I take care of them. Obviously, it hasn't gotten to a mentor stage yet because they're quite young, but it's gotten to sisterhood kind of thing, you know, go there, play, find out what they need. I have twins from Mary Waters. They're doing grade 11. I tutored them maths, and from tutoring maths, it grew to a relationship beyond just maths tutoring. It grew to, so let's talk about womanhood, let's talk about school, let's talk about your friendships. And there are a few girls who are on scholarship as well. They're in grade 10 now. When they came in, I was in grade 9, grade 10 myself. Yes, I was in grade 10 myself when they came to Kingswood, and I sort of just became that person for them that I wish I had when things were getting a bit hard, you know. Obviously at the beginning stages, before all the support came in, things did get a bit difficult, and I did consider like, maybe I don't belong here. So I became that person for them that would give them that nib in the bud and say, you are actually the one person who deserves to be here because you were chosen to be here.